Coming up, checking in on your life is supposed to be one of those healthy little habits. The internet gurus make it look like a movie montage. I mean, you've seen the videos, right? All slow motion stretching, sun-drenched lofts, and aesthetic desk setups with exactly one perfect, healthy, succulent drink on it. They treat checking in like it's easy as remembering to charge your AirPods. They talk about reflection as if it's a casual hobby, like bird watching or hydrating. But for those of us living in the actual world, where your office is just a clear spot on the kitchen counter, where the decorative plant corner has quietly become a tiny botanical crime scene, and where your mindful moment is usually interrupted by a low battery alert or a dog barking in the alleyway, for us, it doesn't feel like a breeze. It feels like a project you haven't been given the instructions for yet. It feels heavy. It feels like a chore that you keep moving from Tuesday's to-do list to Wednesdays. Then you move it to maybe Saturday. And then eventually it just migrates to next month's vague intentions list. Right next to learn French and finally call the insurance company. And here's the first realization I want to hand you. That heaviness, it isn't because your life is too much. It's not because you're failing or because you lack the discipline to look. It feels heavy because your brain can be a world-class drama queen, jerk. Your brain is convinced that if you look too closely at your life, you're about to discover a massive, insurmountable mountain of evidence for every single thing you've ever done wrong. So instead of reflecting, you do what any rational human does. You reorganize the spice rack to avoid your feelings. You clean the baseboards with a toothbrush. You scroll through TikTok until your thumb gets bored. Today, we're stopping all that. We're changing the posture from a Life Audit kind of vibe to a weather report of you. Because you can't fix the wind. And you can't negotiate with the rain, but you can just notice it. FunHob, because what's a YouTube or a Google anyway but a play on words? Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm your tour guide through today's sudden realization that being a person is actually quite a lot of work. So why does your heart rate spike when you think about the word reflect? Why does the simple act of looking at a spreadsheet or a calendar feel like you're preparing for a root canal? Because your brain doesn't hear, I'll just take a quick look at my life. It hears, excellent. Time to pull open the mental filing cabinet of every questionable decision since 2014. Suddenly, your brain starts loading invisible tabs. You think about checking your budget, but then your brain loads the tab for that gym membership you haven't used in 6 months. And then it loads the tab for the dent in the car you haven't fixed yet. Then it loads the tab for the fact that you're out of coffee and the world is basically ending. It's like that one junk closet in your place. You know the one. You just want a light bulb from it. That's all, one light bulb. But, if you touch that door handle, a decade of old winter coats, abandoned sports equipment, and boxes of things you might need later will come out of nowhere and fall on you. So what do? You let go of the handle. You walk away. You decide you don't really need a light bulb anyway. You'd rather sit in the dark than face the closet. But here's the trap. When you stay in the dark, that pile of stuff in your closet, it grows in your imagination. The bank balance doesn't just feel low. It feels like a total life collapse. That tiredness doesn't just feel like a bad night's sleep. It feels like you permanently lost your spark. This feeling, It's the one text you've rewritten 4 times because the period at the end felt too microaggressive. It's the one dish that's been soaking in the sink for 3 days like it's at a day spa. It's the one email from your boss that you keep not opening because somehow an email has developed eye contact with you. Now, when these small things stack, they stop feeling like tasks. They start feeling like bears. Bears? And when your life is full of bears, like actual bears, your system stays in survival mode. Bear logic is the brain's emergency protection mode. Survival mode. I mean, you want to protect yourself from a bear, right? In survival mode, you don't reflect. What do? You just hide. But avoidance is exhausting. It takes more energy to not look at that pile than it does just to see it. You end up in this weird middle zone where you are carrying the weight of the thing without the relief of actually seeing that thing. That is a real tiring place to live, I have to tell you. And if you're there right now, I want you to know you aren't broken. You're just carrying a lot of not knowing. And we're going to put that down. Here's the secret. The problem is not your life. The problem is that your brain stacks everything together into one big, unmanageable ball of yarn. A bad night's sleep, a high utility bill, an awkward conversation with a friend where you said, "Love you too," when the waiter said, "Enjoy your meal." And suddenly your nervous system creates one giant terrifying headline. Everything is off. That pressure is not coming from reality. It's coming from the pressure of not knowing. When things are unclear, your brain makes them feel bigger than they are. It's a survival mechanism. When we stay in the dark, our brain uses bear logic. And this is the work of what I call Gary the security guard. Who's Gary? Gary is the over-caffeinated part of your brain that lives in permanent high alert. Gary wears a vest that is 2 sizes too small, and he has a flashlight that he shines in your eyes whenever you try to rest. I mean, if you're in a dark wood and you hear twig snap, Gary doesn't say, it's probably a squirrel. No. Gary screams, "It's a bear!" Because assuming it's a bear keeps you alive. If it is a bear. It costs you nothing but a little adrenaline if it isn't, right? But Gary applies this to everything. Your bank account. One insufficient funds alert. Bear! Waking up tired. Bear! Unread message from your sister. Definitely a bear! This bear logic creates a state of chronic high alert, where you are too tired to actually fix the things that need fixing. A missed text isn't a bear. A dirty kitchen isn't a bear. But your nervous system can't tell the difference until you turn the lights on. Now, I know I'm making this sound very dramatic. Like, everyone is walking around screaming, "Bear!" every time they see an unread message. But most of the time, it does not look dramatic from the outside. Most of us keep this stuff extremely low-key. We answer normally. We smile. We go to work. We make dinner. We act like everything is fine. Meanwhile, somewhere in the background, our nervous system is quietly treating 3 emails, 1 laundry pile, and a weird tone in a text message like a full wildlife emergency. So when I say bear logic, I do not mean you are visibly panicking all day. I mean your outside might look calm, while your inside is running a tiny, exhausted security department. Now, we stop the bear logic by separating the static into 3 simple buckets. The ones we talked about last time. Bucket 1, health and family, which is your battery, how you're feeling, your people. Bucket 2, finances and stability. It's your stable floor and your security, your finances. And the third bucket, joyful purpose. The things that actually make you feel like a person. Your creativity, your hobbies, what you do for fun. Now, imagine these three are 3 different radio stations playing at the same time in a small room. You don't get music, you just get a headache. But by checking in, we are just turning 2 radios off for a second so we can hear what the third one is actually playing. We aren't fixing the song. What are we doing? We're just identifying the radio station. Now, noticing is not operating. I'm going to say that again. Noticing is not operating. Noticing is saying, oh, that's what's playing right now. Operating is trying to fix the whole radio system at once. And then that is not the job of a check-in. No, the job is just to hear what is there. Here's the part that usually makes people's brains short circuit. A check-in is not fixing. It is not planning. It is not improving. It is not solving. If you think you have to solve a problem, the moment you see it, you will never look. I mean, imagine a doctor. If every time a doctor looked at a patient, they had to perform a full triple bypass operation right then and there, well, the doctor would quit by lunchtime. The doctor has to just observe first. They take a pulse. They look at the chart. They listen to the breathing. And guess what? A check-in is just that, noticing. It is the act of telling yourself the truth without turning that truth into a project. No pressure, no conclusions, no giant action plan, just what's true in this area right now. When your brain realizes that looking at the budget does not mean you have to fix the budget today, well, guess what? It will finally let you open the app. When your brain realizes that noticing you're tired doesn't mean you have to rethink your entire career path, well, it will finally let you feel the fatigue. Here's a quick segue before we continue. If your brain is like, oh, I needed this, you can just stay here with this. There's nothing else you need to do. But if you want, you can like the video or subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when new videos come out. It helps the channel a bit because, you know, the algorithm gods. And if you ever feel like going a little bit deeper, there's more on Patreon. No pressure, just here if you need it. Future you might even appreciate it. Alright, back to the video. Most people fail here because the tabloid editor in their head starts screaming. Anxiety acts like a sensation-seeking news editor who needs a big headline to sell papers. If you notice you're tired, the tabloid editor doesn't write, user needs a nap. He writes, total collapse, user will never be productive again. Is this the end? If you see a negative number in your savings, he doesn't write, spend less this week. He writes, catastrophe, shame, the household has fallen. He turns the missed text into a Victorian tragedy. He turns a sink full of dishes into a moral failing. Stop it. He's a liar. He just wants the clicks. And we're going to give him the afternoon off. You fail. Why? Because you think you have to be the repairman. And the repairman comes in with a belt of heavy tools and starts making noise. The repairman starts ripping up floorboards. The repairman makes you feel like you're failing because the house isn't perfect yet. Most of us treat ourselves like a broken house that needs a permanent, 24 hours, 7 days a week repair crew. We think that if we aren't hammering away at our flaws, we're being lazy. In FunHob, we practice noticing without moving in. Think of it as the visitor. The visitor sits on the couch, drinks the tea, and talks to you. They might notice a leak in the ceiling, but they don't start tearing up the tiles for you. They don't ask, where do you keep your ladder? No, they just say, oh, I see that leak. Interesting. And then, this is the key, they finish their tea, coffee, burrito, and they leave. For those 10 minutes, you are just a visitor in your own life. You see the mess and you leave it there. You don't pick up the hammer. You don't make a to-do list. You just visit. This feels messy because our culture tells us that noticing without acting is useless. I mean, we are taught that awareness is only the first step, which implies that the real work is the second step. But in FunHob, noticing is the highest form of action, because until you can see the truth without flinching, you will never have the clarity to make a real change. You'll just be reacting to the bear logic. Real change happens when the nervous system feels safe enough to stop hiding the truth from itself. And nothing makes the system feel safer than a visit that doesn't turn into a job. When you prove to your brain that you can look at a problem, not be forced to solve it immediately, your brain stops hiding the problems from you. So here is the actual 10-minute check-in method. It's simple, it's contained, it's human-sized. The boundary is the most important part. What do I mean by that? Boundary means deciding what you can give attention, time, or energy to without overloading yourself. Helps you say, I can care about this, but I do not have to carry all of it right now. In FunHob, a boundary is not harsh. It is a gentle limit that keeps one thing from taking over the whole room. Plus, it doesn't have to be mean or block people out. Here's what I mean. Now let's set a timer for 10 minutes. Not because you need to rush, but because your nervous system needs to know there is an ending. If your brain thinks this check-in could last all afternoon, it's going to fight you. It will distract you with the spice rack or the latest news cycle. But your system can handle 10 minutes of anything. So 3 simple steps, right? Pick one area, only one. Health, stability, or purpose. But not all 3. When you pick one, you're giving the other 2 permission to stay muted for now. Now, let's look honestly. No filters, no judgment, just ask, what is actually true here right now? I haven't slept more than 6 hours this week. I feel anxious every time I open my banking app. I haven't picked up my guitar in a month. Now stop when the timer ends, especially if nothing is solved. Now that stopping point is the most vital step. You are teaching your brain we can look without getting trapped in the overwhelmed pit. Hustle culture tells you that how you do one thing is how you do everything. It says if you can't color code the closet, don't even bother folding the socks. Now that is a lie designed to keep you exhausted. You are absolutely allowed to do a C- job today. A C- job that actually gets done is infinitely more valuable than an A+ job that exists only in your head while you take a guilt nap. Consistency isn't about performing like you're at Carnegie Hall. It's about returning like you're coming home. I mean, you're allowed to come home tired. You're allowed to come home messy. Remember, C is for C-, and that is good enough for today. Now, just try this today. Not every day, not perfectly, just once. Pause. Take one breath. And ask yourself, which area feels a little louder right now? Is it health and family? Finances and stability? Or joyful purpose? Just name it. Out loud or in your head. And that's enough. You are not solving your life today. You're simply seeing it more clearly. And clarity feels much lighter than pressure. When you name the area, you're separating the radios. You're turning down the static. You're telling that tabloid editor that he's off the clock for now. You are proving to yourself that you can look at your life without it falling all on your head. You're turning the lights on in the junk closet, finding that stupid light bulb, and closing the door again. The pile is still there, but you have the damn light bulb. Your anchor, I can check in without judgment and call that progress. Let me say that again. I can check in without judgment and call that progress. Write it on a post-it. Stick it on your spice rack. Repeat it when the ball of confusion feels too tangled. Even that small moment of noticing, it counts. It counts more than 1,000 hours of trying harder while staying stuck in the static. And that's enough for now. For now, take the pressure off the check-in. You are not opening a courtroom. You are opening one small window. Just enough to let a little truth in. And that, my friend, is progress. I'll see you in the next one. If this feels like something you've been needing, you can stick around here. Just don't forget to like the video and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You'd be doing me a solid by helping me out and helping out the channel. Because, algorithms. And if you ever want to go a little bit deeper, there's more on Patreon. There's no pressure, it's just there when you need it. A big thank you again for watching, and see you next time.